Now it is my very great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Tami Simon, founder of Sounds True, one of the world's largest multimedia companies dedicated to well-being and spiritual awakening, a true spiritual entrepreneur, working for decades to encourage others along that path. And she's going to talk about an inner MBA or whatever she likes for conscious business. Thank you, Tami.
Thanks, Susan. And Jude, how wonderful to enter the cosmic, multidimensional, breathing world that you took us into. Thank you. And I can feel it in me. And I think all of us listening and tuning in have that ability and that open channel as we're connected into that field of infinite intelligence to feel how it expresses in us what wants to be born through us right now, here in our lives and in these moments of our lives, with the resources that we have, with the connections that we have, with the gifts and limitations that we have. And the phrases that I want to bring to this gathering that occurred to me that are important to me at this moment are live with soul, be the magic every day. Okay, what's Tami talking about? This all sounds pretty fruity. I thought at least she was going to be a business person, and I am. And I think that's part of what we need are people who are inspired to create entrepreneurially, to do so, quote unquote, with soul, and to be the magic every day in their organizations. So I want to share a little bit what that means to me. What does it mean to be the soul at work, to live with soul at work? So first of all, it means I'm turned on by what I'm doing. I really care about it, and I'm really alive in it, and it's animated and fresh for me. And that might mean that I'm changing. I used to be involved in this thing, and now I'm doing this thing, and something new's happening, and I want to work with these people, and this is the truth of what's alive for me now, and I'm not just going to inherit some old form. Susan, you mentioned the Inner MBA, which is a 9-month certification program on the inner skills of business that we've created at Sounds True. And at our very first graduation, our speaker was Lynn Twist. And she talked about the very first time she heard Buckminster Fuller give a talk. And it was almost 50 years ago. And he said to the group of people, in 50 years, we're going to have to take this experience of interdependence that we know and sense and remake all of our organizations, all of the structures of our society, including business, to reflect that interdependent knowing that is in our cellular makeup. We're going to have to reconstruct our business life. And to me, when I think of living with soul as a business person, it's that recreation process. I think this is just really simple. This is me here talking to you. Susan gave me permission just to speak from my heart, and that's what I'm going to do. I think of the empty sheet of paper. I'm not going to inherit what people told me business was like. That's not going to work for me, and it never has. To be honest with you, it's never worked for me to do what supposedly, my gender was supposed to do or say, or my age was supposed to do or say, or so many ways that societal that to me is not living with soul. That's like living with some inherited status quo. And instead, there's something about the blank sheet of paper that says, how do we want to create this? I was just talking to a woman in our Inner MBA class who had to leave a corporate job. And she was like, I had this question, like, where am I going to go? Are there going to be businesses that reflect my values? Does this exist? And I was like, yeah, we're making them. We're creating them. And that's, in my view, what it actually means to be a spiritual entrepreneur, is that picking up of the blank sheet of paper and saying, how do we want to structure ourselves? What values do we put right at the center? How do we view money as a positive flow, a river, a current of energy that is moving through our organization for collective good? How do we create that kind of gentle and loving and empowering relationship with money and finances through our work? The how of it. How do we treat each other at work? You know, we've mentioned a couple of times the power of starting a session like this with a minute of meditation and silence and connecting in space. What if we did that? And we do this at Sounds True, and we do it within our inner MBA as well. What if we simply did that at the beginning of every single meeting for a few minutes? It's really simple. You can just call it centering. It doesn't even have to sound like some controversial, provocative spiritual act, but it is actually, because you're creating space for people's soul nature and soul knowing to be welcome at work and included in the conversation. Be the magic every day. What does that mean? Jude said we're living at a threshold moment. This is a moment that is inviting us to draw on all of our creative capacities. We are when I say magic, what I mean is unexpected things. I'm so excited to see who I'm going to meet in this group. I've never been part of the Nova Institute events before. There are so many new possibilities here. Being the magic, to me, simply means, it's really simple, being open to that. Listening, receptive, filled with possibility. Businesses that are filled with possibility. What wants to happen? What might happen? What might happen that we never expected could happen? What could we create? Because now I'm connecting to this new person, this new person, this new person. There are all these new elements in the room, and an alchemy happens that we never expected. To me, that's what it means to be the magic. And in the Inner MBA program, the last thing here I just want to say is we focus on 3 different aspects of transformation. The first 3 months, we focus on the vessel that we are. The vessel that we are. Knowing that you can't possibly try to manage other people if you don't know how to manage yourself. And so it's, are we actually an open vessel? Are we aware of how to work with our own nervous system? Are we committed to our own health and the health of the people in our organizations? That's part 1. Part 2, how we work with each other, our relationships. How much feedback are we taking in? How are we collaborating? It's the notion of tremendous collaboration and teamwork. That's the second part. And then the third part is actually restructuring the organizations themselves, and be willing to do that and go back to first principles of how we relate with each other. And I bring all of this up to have business be part of the tree. When we talk about the deeper roots of transformation, here we are, we're sunk in deep to our connectivity, and now we're organizing, we're working with each other. Resources are flowing in so that we can bring services and contribute to society. May that fruit be glorious. May it taste really good. May it be nourishing for people. May it be equitably distributed. We have the possibility, when we're rooted deeply, to have the tree of our organization be that kind of life-giving tree. And I'm so happy to be with you and to let this magic unfold here together.